All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I got my guy Chig Martin in on the show. I'm glad for all who are tuning in. This is the What If Show, and I like to say I'm very glad to see this particular guy. And I'm going to give him a few, a little time to introduce himself and kind of tell a little bit about himself, and we're going to talk a little bit more. Go ahead, Chig.
Yeah, my name's Chig Martin. I'm from down in southeast Alabama, the Wiregrass region of Alabama, Enterprise. I'm a small businessman, a father of one 31-year-old daughter. Um, Grew up in a blue collar household. I like to tell people my story. My mom uh, didn't even graduate 10th grade of high school, and my dad graduated high school, and both of them just worked hard in this life. And my mom had a little beauty shop she ran for 22 years. My dad was a mechanic. And so I like for people to know that, because most politicians in this day and age come from privilege and things like that. But I did not. I was fortunate enough to get a full football scholarship out of high school to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and paid for my education, and kind of helped, guide me through life and give me some contacts in life to do something. And as far as business goes, I tell people this because I started out at the bottom in my business career. When I got out of college, the first job I had was selling vacuum cleaners, Electrolux vacuum cleaners, door to door, and I just kept battling through, and finally got a little better jobs, and eventually became a small business owner here in Alabama, in the maintenance and safety products business, mainly selling to places that work on military aircraft, like on bases, military bases. And so I was eventually started the first hemp and CBD store in the state of Alabama. So I consider myself an innovative businessman. I consider myself a person that can relate to what the average person's going through here in Alabama, and I think that's what makes me a good candidate.
Okay, awesome, man. That's an awesome story, awesome upbringing, man. I wanted to ask you about what really inspired you to run for governor this time.
Well, it, I don't think it's any big secret to Alabamians. It just seems like we've been doing the same thing over and over for many years in the state. It seems to be a government that's run by privileged people and works for privileged people. And I just sat back and I just couldn't take it anymore. I said, I'll be honest with you, I've been able to do well enough in life that I'm retired at 57 years old. And I thought to myself, I've got a lot left to offer this state, and I have the time. I think I've got the age and the experience that I've seen enough things in this life. I grew up with my mom and dad running a trailer park down here in Enterprise, Alabama. So I've had to work with people throughout my life that have struggled and things like that in this state. And I always just thought we could do better. And so I decided to put my hat in the ring, literally. And I just feel like I can give an option to Alabamians to have a voice that they can relate to here.
Okay. So you talked about being a business owner. I just want to wonder about, some of your experiences as a business owner. How does that shape your perspective on government, and leadership?
Well, the one thing I always try to tell people about being a small business owner, and I've been a small business owner for almost 23 years, you can only make it to that length in a business career as a business owner if you do a few things. And one of them is you've got to have a high work ethic. I've always tried to tell people there's one thing about a small business owner, the buck stops there when it comes to the bills being paid and you being paid. There is nobody to turn to write you a check every week for your salary. You have to create that and generate that, and so hard work it was a key. Working being smart and innovative, that's another key. But the one thing that's most important is the most important thing it takes to get to a 23-year career as a business owner is being straight up with people, being honest with people. As I tell my daughter today, she runs the company that if our just to give you an example, if my company is wrong and we've done something wrong, my first goal is to rectify that problem as quickly as possible for our customer and to rectify it as painlessly as possible for my customer with them doing the least amount of work. And I just think that sometimes how you solve problems will make a customer even stronger when they see that you're not just reaping the rewards from them, but when there's a problem, when you get in there and you work hard to fix it. And you know, and on the other route, if a customer has a problem, um, you don't say, okay, it's not our it's not our fault, it's all on you. That's where you show yourself and you help that customer fix the problem on their end. And it's all about working with people and trying to work seamlessly and smoothly with people. But it's really about honesty, integrity, and that's what makes for a long and successful business career, in my opinion.
Yeah, hey, I agree. I can't deny that. I really agree with that part too.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to get into a little bit about economy. A lot of people are really concerned about the economy, especially here in Alabama. So I know a lot of times people talk about the high tech industry and creating livable wage jobs. So what kind of strategies or incentives do you have to try to bring some of this stuff to Alabama?
Well, the first thing we've had a problem with here in the state of Alabama is we've had a governor, it seems like it seems like 20 years, but it's been 11 years. I mean, what's really strange is an 11-year-old in the state of Alabama can only they only know of one governor in their whole life at this point in their life. So, and the reason I'm getting at that, we have a governor now, and I'm sure she's a nice enough lady, but she's elderly. She's not physically and mentally capable, and so that has really hurt us here in Alabama, not having a proactive governor. Um, and when it comes to what you're talking about, the facts of the matter are Alabama's the sixth ranked state in poverty in America. And we're so used to living that way in Alabama that we're used to it. But some people have kind of forgotten it can be better. And so the first thing you're going to see in my administration is I'm going to bring in one of the best industry recruiting teams that's ever been assembled in America. This is one of You'll hear me talk about investments I want to make, and this is an investment in the state. But we're going to reach out around the globe and we're going to find um, high tech industry that pay good wages, give opportunities for health care, give opportunities for retirement plans, and we're going to bring them right here to Alabama. Well, here's one of the things too that I want to say. As governor, this will be something I'm directly involved with. I think that if a governor is involved in this process and reaching out to these companies and showing how serious we are about bringing these companies to our state, I think we will get some fantastic industry in here. And the other thing that's very key is we can't just bring industry into Alabama and put them around Huntsville. We've got to we've got to work to get these out across the state and spread them out. I want to do this. I want to start the Alabama Job Corps Center, which teaches trades throughout the state. And I want to make these trade schools and the business we're recruiting work hand in hand. If we're bringing a company into Montgomery that's an aerospace company, and we focus on aerospace in the Montgomery area, I want a Job Corps Center that is teaching advanced welding. I want them to teach machine shop skills where they can build parts and things like that. And so I want to, if you've got to have a fine tooth machine. Well, and one thing I have to address, one of the investments I want to make here in Alabama is the Black Belt region of Alabama has been overlooked for our entire lifetime. And
Certainly,
one
sir.
of the things I want to do in the Black Belt is we have to, as a state, invest in infrastructure in the Black Belt region of Alabama. And what I mean by that, we've got to get good roads. We've got to get good bridges that trucks can travel across. And we've got to get land developed for industrial areas and complexes. And we have to make an investment, and we have to get the people of the Black Belt region an opportunity to make livable, good wages there because they've been neglected for our lifetime.
Okay, man, that's awesome. Answer to that. I want to ask you this also. How will you balance the interests of new industries with the needs of small businesses in rural communities? I know you talked about Huntsville, you talked about Montgomery, but what about places like, kind of like we grew up in the Wiregrass and those areas? How do you balance that with the rural communities?
Well, and small business is the backbone not only of Alabama but the country. That we talk about bringing in industry, but small business is what makes the world go round. And so, one of the things I want to do with small business, and I'll just tell you like this: I want to do things here in Alabama for minority and black-owned businesses. Okay, one because I think we're lacking in the opportunities we've given those folks to advance here in Alabama. So one of the things I want to do as a state, I want to have a program that travels around the state to every county weekly. It'll be in a different county. And what we want to do is we want to have minority, female owned, disabled owned uh, business entrepreneurs and in general business entrepreneurs just in general. And what I want to do is we want to train and teach people how to start businesses from A to Z. What license do you need? What tax forms are needed to start this business? But more importantly, after we teach all this for minority and black-owned businesses, we want to show you what grants and things funding is available for minority and black-owned businesses, and we want to help excel these businesses in Alabama. We're not doing that now, and we're going to be proactive in small businesses here in Alabama for sure.
Okay, awesome, man. You talked earlier about trade schools. You talked earlier about some of those schools that train people for particular welding and things of that nature. You have any ideas on how to fund those schools?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things a lot of people don't understand, and excuse me, I had a cold last week, but I've recovered from it, but I'm still a little, if I cough, I apologize. But one of the things a lot of people don't know this. We're so ineffective here in Alabama, and this is just one example. When the states were given all of this COVID money, we did not even know how to spend it and invest it in our state. And we actually had to return money because we could not figure out how to spend it. So we've had money there. We've just not had leadership. Yes. And the thing about the Job Corps centers, right now, Alabama has money. And I'm just saying that we need to put this money into things that, like the Job Corps Center, that will, it's like the gift that will keep giving back in Alabama. Trade jobs right now. I always tell people there's not a big difference between the bill you get from a plumber or electrician than a doctor you go visit nowadays. And so yeah, we have money here in Alabama, and we just we don't know how to appropriate it and spend it. We still have COVID funds that are not spent, and
Ah,
I have good ways to spend those money.
okay, okay, awesome, man. Another thing that a lot of Alabamians are concerned with is, reducing poverty and the income inequalities here in Alabama.
Mhm.
So, any strategies for
Yeah.
that?
Well, the first thing that has to be done here in Alabama is a candidate like myself has to step up and admit that this state has had problems on equality in the past and not try to turn a blind eye to it, not try to speak to black voters and ignore it and act like it's never happened. So I step up to the plate and I address that and say, yes, we have had a problem with fairness and justice, equalities. That's why our prison system is filled with mostly black males and females right now because lack of opportunity. So acknowledging this, and I've had a lot of people say, you shouldn't say this. I always tell people, listen, the black voter in Alabama is tired of being BS'd in this state. Okay. And that's the one thing about me, Darius. I do not know how to BS people. I'm a small businessman that my life has depended on looking people in the eye and being honest to make a living. And that's exactly the approach I'm going to take with the voters. So yes, there's been a problem there in Alabama with this. And I've told people if I can get this minority and black owned business plan going here in the state of Alabama, it could change this state for the better in so many ways. I mean, it not only financially and economically, but just on the landscape of the way our state operates, man. We need to make sure that minorities and independents, disabled voters have an opportunity to do something in the state. So yes, yes, we've got problems there. And I will tell you this, one of the things you're going to see with the Chig Martin administration, and no other candidate says this, but when I pick a cabinet that stands in a semicircle around me in this state, it will be the first cabinet that's ever been assembled in this state. When you see a picture, you're going to see colors of people. You're going to see men. You're going to see women. You're not going to see judges' grandsons and prominent surgeons' daughters. You're going to see people that work at Lowe's. You're going to see people that is a dental hygienist. I'm going to have people around me that know what Alabamians are going through and can talk and understand what Alabamians are going through when they represent them. You're going to see people say, how are you going to show the state that you're fair? You're going to see it immediately day one when that cabinet's announced. Every citizen in this state will have representation that that looks like them. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian. There's going to be people in this cabinet that give you representation in this state.
Oh wow, man, that's awesome, man. That sounds really well. It's really good, man.
Yes, sir.
Um, when you talk about healthcare in Alabama, Alabama healthcare, and I hear you talk about sometimes expanding Medicaid and including natural medicinal options under insurance coverage. How do you think we should implement this type of practice?
Well, the one thing that I have introduced, and I'm the only candidate in the state that's introduced a plan. What I would like to do to help solve our health care is I would like to pass legislation to have 4 zoned gambling areas in the state. And I want this to be run by the state of Alabama, and I want it to be called the Alabama Gaming and Healthcare Fund. In these areas, and first of all, we don't have any entertainment for the most part in the state. So this is something that's much needed and wanted by our citizens. I want all the gambling to be in those 4 areas of the state. And I want every citizen to be able to get to these within 2 hours, no matter where you live in the state. Well, once this gets up and rolling, and by the way, I want these to be entertainment zones with concerts and arts. I want them to have golf courses. I want them to have family entertainment, amusement parks. And there is no doubt these will succeed because we have this all around our state right now, and our citizens leave daily to go do these things. Well, I want this money to go into a fund that helps offset healthcare costs for Alabamians here. And just to give you an example, if you're a person that makes $20,000 a year, you're probably going to get more money than the guy that makes $150,000 a year. It's going to be kind of laid out like that. Well, not only do I want this to be a subsidy, and by the way, I just want to say this, to me, healthcare is not a political issue. Healthcare is simply someone trying to live and stay alive. And in an advanced society, healthcare should be a basic fundamental for anyone. I mean, in my opinion. But so I want to help with these healthcare subsidies for citizens, because when you're in one of the most poverty-stricken states in America, one of the states with the lowest wages, our people don't have the money to pay these rising healthcare costs. It's just facts. And so I want to help with that. I also want part of this Alabama Gaming and Healthcare Fund to help keep rural hospitals afloat and basic health care centers in rural communities. And the third thing I want this to help is I want to revamp and create a brand new mental health care program here in the state of Alabama, because it doesn't matter what town you go to, we have people walking around with mental health care problems that have absolutely zero treatment. And quite honestly, we're so used to it, we just overlook these people. But it's just really not right that we have citizens that need help and we don't provide them anything. And just to give you an example, I met with a sheriff here in Alabama. I was out speaking, and I didn't know the sheriff. He didn't know me, but he took the meeting with me, and he told me the most frustrating thing he has is trying to handle people with mental health care in his county, because he said the way he sees it, in good faith, he is a sheriff. A jail cell is not where somebody belongs with legitimate mental health care issues. And so he says that the way it's set up now, if they arrest a person, he was telling me about a guy in the town that they find him standing out in the freezing rain on a street corner, just standing there, almost freezing to death, not knowing what to do. He said they take him into the county health care center. He stays 2 hours and they see him walking around. I mean, there is no help for these people. So yeah, and I want one thing about me, when I talk about this Alabama Gaming and Healthcare Fund, I do not want to contract our services out here in Alabama anymore, like with the prison systems. We want to contract out guards and this. That is not good. That's where money starts changing from hand to hand when contracts are given. The state should be efficient and be able to run these programs ourselves, where we can keep tabs on every single dollar, that and make sure that the money is accounted for as a state.
Okay, man, that's awesome, man. A question that most of my colleagues have asked me to ask you about. What is your position on legalizing marijuana in Alabama?
Yes, I'm for the. Yes, yes, I'm for legalizing all natural medicines. I believe that if you can dig a hole in your yard and put a seed in the ground and it grows, God intended that plant to be there for you. Big pharma is what is really trying to knock the natural medicine industry off the block, and so is alcohol companies, because natural medicine has done one thing in this country. It slowed people down on drinking alcohol. It slowed people down on pharmaceuticals, and now they're on an attack to kill an industry. And we have a lot of people in the state that, for some reason, they think natural grown products is a dirty word, when they don't understand that pharmaceuticals that are made in an industrial park in New Jersey are much more dangerous and much more addictive. So I am completely for natural medicine here in Alabama. I think that, Darius, just to be completely honest, if we were fully legal on natural medicine in Alabama, I think it would change the lives of our citizens, the quality of life like you've never seen before. We are a farming state here in Alabama. Naturally, that's everybody knows that. You drive across the state of Alabama, you're going to see farms. So why not be proactive and be a leader in global innovation of natural medicine? Use what we already have, farming, and not only that, we have some of the top agricultural colleges in the country. Let's be proactive. Let's be the teaching systems of natural medicine. Let's be the state where people come to learn to be experts on natural medicine. Whether you're from Europe, whether you're from Canada, whether you're from Tacoma, Washington, come to Alabama and leave here with a degree and have a doctorate in a natural medicine program. Um, so yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay, man, that's awesome, man. A lot of people talk about that would bring a lot of money if we legalize marijuana.
Yeah.
So what guess we do with the money that we get off the tax revenue of marijuana?
Well, I'll tell you something. It will be so much money that it'll probably be the first time in all of our lives that we can do things like fix the roads and bridges in this state. I mean, listen, you were talking about Abbeville, Alabama. I can name you so many roads in Abbeville that you can drive down. If you hit them hard enough, it'll rattle your teeth and possibly chip your tooth. And
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
oh
Yeah.
my,
I mean, we've got general maintenance and basic things we need to do here in Alabama. This fund will have so much money that we can do things like that. We can invest in the trade schools that we were talking about. We can do things like and we can do things like develop land in the Black Belt. It will be so much money. It's just like Colorado. Um, a lot of people don't know this, but I drove through Colorado and their roads are nearly perfect in every part of the state now because they've got so much money with that recreational cannabis coming in. They literally are just fine tuning the state, trying to find ways to make it better because the cash flow is just, yeah, people travel out there to spend thousands of dollars. Let's face it. Even though they're not supposed to leave there with it, they do, you know?
yeah, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about. I know you talked earlier about lottery and gaming.
Yeah.
Uh, 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 I understand that this is going to bring in a lot of revenue. I just want to make sure. How could you guarantee that that revenue will be used for education or economic development and not diverted somewhere else?
Well, if you've noticed everything I've talked about, I've had an area that I expect it to be spent in. Well, the same thing with the lottery. The lottery would be educational money only. And what I would like to see personally is I would like to see our teachers get up to par with the rest of America because it all starts with good teachers. Okay. And I want to make sure our teachers, I want to make, one of the things about the lottery, we have literally built schools in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, while our students sit in buildings that are dilapidated with asbestos, and we're building schools in other states. We want to improve our buildings um, the high tech programs we have here in the state, and it's just 46 out of 50 states have the lottery, and it's just kind of funny that the four that don't are ranked near the bottom in education. So it has a direct impact on the educational system, and so it's a no brainer to me, the lottery. And I think if the Alabama legislators would get the lottery out for the citizens to vote on, I think, and I mean, we don't even know each other's views, but I would probably say you would think that the lottery would pass in a landslide in Alabama if the citizens were be able to vote on it.
Well, I'm a teacher myself, so I hear a lot of teachers who are in favor of it. So, I'm pretty sure, like you say, that that would probably have a great chance of winning.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I want to ask you a little bit about, briefly touch on Alabama's prison system.
yeah.
It's been a lot of scrutiny over, overcrowding conditions. We've seen a lot of different investigations on Alabama's prison system. So, what type of reforms would you try to shoot for first? Would you prioritize?
Well, the number one thing that we have to do is we have to get contractors um, nixed out of our prison system. That is one of the biggest problems we have is we are contracting services out. Well, first of all, that doesn't make sense because if we're paying contractors, that means we're paying more money because contractors are profiting right immediately off of running these. So I want the state to gain control of our prison system. Right now, if you were to call me and say, and I was governor, and you'd say, I need you to find out about a friend of mine that's in the prison, I would now have to find out who the contractor was and go through that kind of circle just to get the information. If a person is in prison in the state of Alabama, the state of Alabama should know what is going on with that person immediately, what is happening with that person health wise, whatever status we're looking for. So we've got to cut contractors out of it. Here's the problem with the prison system in Alabama. A lot of people are very cruel, and I will tell you this: I am a guy that my brother at 40 years old died while incarcerated. So I don't speak out of both sides of my mouth on this. I got the phone call at 9:30 at night that broke my heart about 15 years ago. And I will tell you this: I've had a lot of family members die, my mom and my dad, and nothing probably hurt me like losing my brother that night. There's a bond between brothers, and so I have felt the pain that a lot of Alabamians feel. What I think is the biggest problem right here in prison is one of the biggest issues is we have prisoners now that we are sending out to work every single day. They're loading up on vans and they're dropping some off at McDonald's. They're dropping some off at Whataburger. Well, I'm fine with this whole concept because, quite honestly, if I was a prisoner, I would rather be out in the public every single day than being in a prison or in a jail cell. Well, so where the problem happens is the state takes this money that's hourly wages. This money is paid to the state. The prisoner gets only so much of that, which I'm fine with. I understand it, and I think any reasonable person will understand it. They get a portion of it. Well, here's the problem. The state is putting that money into a big pool, drawing interest off of the backbreaking work of these inmates. And I still understand the whole concept up to this point. But where I have a problem, this inmate now has done his time. He's up for parole. He's up for probation. And he goes in front of a board and they deny him. And they are denying him because they want to keep this hourly pay coming in for the state. And here's the thing: if a man is good enough, or woman is good enough to go out and work in the general public every single day, he's good enough to go home and support his family and help financially get his family back in order. So that's one of the biggest problems I have. We've got to have fair pardon and parole boards. And just there's a lot of mean, nasty people in Alabama that want to talk about prisoners that say, well, they shouldn't have done it. They deserve what they get. Well, that's not the way it works. Even when you're a prisoner, you still have basic rights as a human being that the state is responsible for upholding. And I mean, and we, I tell people this: we have, our problems are so bad here in the state of Alabama that the documentary they wrote, the Alabama Solution, is up for an Oscar, and that's a bad thing. I mean, it's great for the people that wrote Alabama or did Alabama Solution, but as a state, it's sad. I mean, to think that a program talking about our prisons and how inadequate and how ruthless and how ineffective they are is up for an Oscar, you know?
It's sad, but I'd like to ask you about your leadership style. You label your campaign as the citizen-driven movement. What does that mean in practice, and how do you lead and make decisions?
Well, what the citizens driven movement means is I, I, I do not I take zero special interest money. I am the only candidate in this campaign that is actually, there are some candidates that aren't even raising any money, but out of the candidates that raise money, I'm the only candidate that I have no special interest ties to any group. I take zero special interest dollars. And the citizens driven movement is a group of Alabamians. They come of all color, they come of all walks of life. And we've joined together and we've got the mantra that together our voice is strong collectively, but individually our voices aren't that strong. So we band together and we've been doing this. I ran in the last election, so it's for years. And finally, this movement has gotten strength and it's scaring people here in the state. And it just keeps building. The snowball keeps getting bigger. And the citizens driven movement is a group of citizens that are fed up with being controlled by special interest candidates in the state. And that's what we are. We are just good, common sense, hardworking Alabamians.
Oh man,
And
that's
we,
awesome.
yeah.
So I know you've previously ran before. Are there any lessons that you might have learned from other campaigns that you're going to apply to this one?
Well, it's not really lessons. Darius, the problem with a guy like me that doesn't take special interest money, it's just that it's just the cold hard facts. A guy like me that's not a special interest candidate, I don't have the support staff that I need. I don't have people working doing my marketing every day. I don't have people contacting media for me every single day. I don't have people, but this go around, I do have that. I have a campaign team that makes $0. I have a campaign team that pays their own way to our events. I have a campaign team that, if they need to stay overnight, they pay their own way. And these are people that work 30, 40 hours a week. And so I have a group of hardworking citizens that's joined me now. And our campaign team is so sharp because we can't buy our way out. When we need something, we just can't throw money at it. We have to be creative. We have to hustle. We have to give hard work. And that's the difference in my campaign the first time. I was by myself. Now I'm not. And I have a group of people that we all believe in each other. I'll tell you about our campaign. I mean, we do not pull any punches. When we talk about things, things between us can get heated because we are passionate about this state and talk. And I listen. My campaign team may say, Chad, I don't like the way you're saying this. This doesn't sound good if you're a citizen. We are very honest with each other and we listen to each other. We have strong women. We have strong men. We have strong people of color in this campaign. We have voices, man, and that's the difference in us.
Okay, man, that's awesome, man. I just want to ask you a little bit about your vision for Alabama. So, what does the word Alabama the Beautiful mean to you? How would you safeguard both the environment and the economic prosperity of Alabama?
Yes, and listen, there's one thing about Southerners and really about Americans. We're no matter what our state has been through, we're always proud of where we're from. Just like you in Abbeville, Alabama. I don't know what your situation is, but if you grew up in Abbeville, I know you're proud of Abbeville. And by the way, just to speak on Abbeville, what a beautiful city it's turned into with all of the. I don't know if you've been there lately. Have you? About you? Yeah,
I have,
with all the beautiful neon signs
yeah,
lit up. It's beautiful, isn't it?
it
It
is.
yeah yeah. And so yeah, and so I do love Alabama. That's why I'm doing this. I'm very proud of my state, and I just think we can do better. I mean, I've I've sat here my whole life. I watched as a kid, basically the state be segregated. I watched it where uh, the black kids hung out here and the white kids hung out here. And I never liked it as a kid growing up because that was just my friend, is the way I looked at it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I think we have to, acknowledge that this is the way the state was. But one of the things I told you about my cabinet that I'm putting together, I want to lead by example by at the highest level showing the state that the buck's going to stop there with me. You don't have to ask me what I think about our state moving forward. You're going to be able to look yourself and say, wow, I'm represented in this state. It's going to be done through leadership with me.
Okay. Man, it sounds awesome. Um, so basically, what should the people of Alabama trust you with the future of this state?
Listen, I would not blame the people of Alabama for not trusting anyone, first of all. I have to earn the citizen support here. I have to, I have to, I cannot be judged until I actually get in office and actually do something. And at the end of 4-year terms, I want the citizens of the state of Alabama to judge me and say either he has moved this state forward, whether it be socially or economically or whatever it may be. And at the end of 4 years, you will know what the citizens feel about you. But I try to tell people will say, "Oh, you don't have any experience." Well, you never have any experience until you're elected for an office. I mean, that's the only way to get experience. But I live in a community that as I talk to you right now, I'm in the house that I was born in 57 years ago. I'm entrenched in this state. Um, I care about this state. I care about our people, and that's why I'm running. I mean, I just think I can do a good job, and want to. We don't avoid any question from our citizens. You can talk. Doesn't matter what the subject is. You're going to get a straight, honest answer from this campaign. Now, I always tell people this, Darius, if somebody handed us a piece of paper that had 20 questions on it,
Mhm.
um, just our brief time knowing each other, we'd probably answer 16 out of 20 the same way. But
Yeah.
we're not going to answer 20 out of 20 the same way because
True.
all of us do not think the same. All of us have different ideologies and philosophies, but we have to learn Alabamians have to learn party line politics. We really all have more in common than each other thinks. I will not be a hate driven candidate. I will not be a divider in the state. If it came to, if I got put in the position where I was told you need to feed the base red meat that's of hate and division, I would walk away from this race. I would never be a part of that. It is very important for me to unite our state because I know that if we unite, man, we can do so much. You can't do much when you're a divided uh,
Right.
state. Yeah.
Last but not least, uh, if someone has watched this and they want to support your campaign, how can they do that?
Well, our campaign, and I will tell you this: when I say I have a little joke with my daughter, I I ate lunch with my daughter today. I don't get to see her very often. She's 31, but I said, your daddy's a bigger social media star than you are. Anyway, hey, we were just joking, but we had, just to give you an example, overnight, we had 1,500 people come to our campaign overnight on our Facebook page, which is our biggest growth we've ever had in 24 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we're so happy and blessed. The thing about social media is it gives a man like me that doesn't have the millions of dollars. It gives us a fighting chance to try to represent Alabama. And I have to put my skills on display. I tell people, if you want to know what I can do for the state, just look at this campaign. I have spread this campaign across the state on a shoestring budget. Imagine what I can do for our state when I have full resources behind me. I am competing head to head with candidates with millions of dollars, and I have thousands of dollars. My campaigns come in the form of one, two, $5 donations from citizens. And I have to, I mean, I really feel like I've proven to the state what I am capable of just in this campaign.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. And a lot of people gain insight from you. A lot of people will hit me up, say, "Hey, man, I didn't know who he was or anything about him." So I'm so glad you were able to come on the show, man.
Thank you so much. And I want you to know something. It's such an honor to be on here with you tonight. And what you're doing is so important because just to give you an idea, Darius, I have to deal with this special interest money controls the media in the state of Alabama. If you look at the mainstream media sites in Alabama, they are already pushing candidates, not giving other candidates any attention. And if not for people like you, Darius, people would not know about that they have other options out there. So you're doing good work, and I'm very, very appreciative. And also the work you're doing, giving me a chance to be a part of your community, to put my name out in your community. And I'm so thankful to you.
Man, no problem, man. No problem. Anytime. So I'm here today with Chig Martin for governor of Alabama, and he's blessed us with this interview today. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see him later on. Appreciate
Yes,
you, man.
sir. Thank you
All right.
so much. Yeah. Hey, y'all have a good day. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right.